Hey there, Mark Szymanski back in with another video here. Hope you're doing well. Today, I'm going to be talking about NitroPack specifically because they reached out to me and they told me that they have brand new pricing and a bunch of new paid features that I don't know about and I'd love to explore and check them out with you. I actually checked out NitroPack a couple years ago, but again, as I said, the platform has significantly changed since then, and I want to see if it's still like a viable solution for performance and optimization here on the WordPress side of things. So, what I plan to do today is I'm going to show you a website that I built, a while back with Elementor and a bunch of different like plugins and different things on it. We'll go through the page speed insights of that currently before NitroPack or any optimization, and then we'll throw the free version of NitroPack on, the one that you can get basically right out of the plugin repo, just to give us a little bit of a baseline of what it can do. And then right after that, we'll talk about the actual paid version and some of the new features that they have, and then you'll be able to see for yourself if it's something you want to add to your stack. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share my screen here. And you can see, here's the website we're going to use here. So this is like an old website. If you don't know about me, you're going to know about me now because I play ball hockey. I played playing ball hockey, deck hockey for a very long time. And this is like a project site that I put together here where it has like a ton of stuff on it still. Like obviously you can see it has a ton of media, videos, all sorts of stuff. And then also like a ton of custom post types. But I think this is going to be a really good test case for us. So why don't we just take our URL here and just jump right into this over into Page Speed Insights. I want to do all this live for you pretty much because I think that's the best way to kind of actually see like what we're getting results wise, and we can take a look at everything together here. All right, so again, this is a real website. There's like actual content on here. It's not like a ton of traffic, but that's not really that important. It's more about like what the website is. And again, so we could go back to it real quick and we can come up to the top here and you can see Elementor, there's WooCommerce on here, just a bunch of different things from the tools perspective, Jet Engine, Hello Elementor as the theme. And then if we just go over to plugins real quick, I'll also show you this. So ton of plugins, right? There's like a lot of stuff going on here. And again, we're testing the main URL, and we get a 64 on mobile and we get a 74 on desktop. Now, not atrocious. I've seen worse. I think these tests kind of vary a little bit when we do this because I've honestly seen like even worse just on this website, but honestly, it could be improved. So let's see what NitroPack can do. So if we head over to our plugins here, and then again, like I said, we're just going to start with the free version. So if we come over to search plugins in your, so if you're following along, you just go over to your website and you just search NitroPack in the plugin repo. Then you press install, and then you're going to press activate. So once you activate, you're going to get a little notice that says NitroPack is activated but not connected. So you have to go to the settings and set everything up here. So right here, you're going to see dashboard for NitroPack. And then this is where you need to, even for the free version, you do need a free account just so you kind of get everything going. But then you can press connect here. And again, account creation is super simple. If you already have an account, you just log in, which I do, but you would just enter your email and then you'd set up your account. And then this is how you're going to connect your site. So it's going to have the URL in there already because you're already at the site. And you could do this the other way too. That's worth mentioning. If you went to NitroPack first and created your account, we're going to go look at that dashboard in a second, but you're probably going to be on the website. So this is just kind of a cleaner way to do this. So you can pick a site name here if you want. You can change that. And then you could say the different platform that you're at, but obviously, it's already going to know that because you're on WordPress. And then you're going to have some options for your plans here. So there's going to be free, starter, and then like you might have some other stuff depending on if you're affiliate or whatever. There's more plans here. We're going to talk about all this stuff in a second. I just want to show you the free plan first. So if we focus on that one, we have our standard features. We have 1K shared page views, and then it's great for starters and stuff like that. So we're going to start there and we're going to click add. So again, at this point, no money, $0, 0 cents. Just want to show you what the free version is capable of. All right. So now the only other thing is you're going to have, if you're on that free version, you're going to have the little NitroPack badge in the footer, but that's no problem right now because this is free. All right. So once you connect it, you're going to get pushed into the NitroPack dashboard inside your WordPress website. Again, there's another one out on the actual NitroPack website, but we'll check this for a second here. So this is the first thing you're going to get depending on what types of content and plugins you're using. Like, so for instance, there's like events and teams and players. That is because, as we saw, this is a sports website that I have, I believe it's called Sports Press on. And I know that it's trying to optimize a bunch of different things, which is really cool because obviously I can't show you every example of every combination of plugins that you could possibly have on your website. But what this tells me is that there are some things that it kind of goes at least out of the way to try to optimize more for, right? So you can see like even products down here and player list. I'm just going to say optimize everything because if you're in this situation where you have all of those things, you probably want to optimize most of the stuff. And you can always like, turn that off if you have any issues or anything like that. So I see that as a benefit there. All right. So at this point, I do want to go through this dashboard with you. I want to show you some of the free features, and then we'll take some tests, and then we'll also go to the paid version and all that. But I do just kind of want to like just show you a couple of different things. So if you do end up using this, you have like a little bit of a wherewithal before you jump in here. So let me slide this over here. This looks similar to what I'm going to show you, but this is our website. Obviously, you can see by the WP admin, the URL, and all that. If I click over to here, you can see where I'm at now. I'm in the actual NitroPack dashboard over on their like web app, okay? Now, if you have multiple websites, you can come up here and you can click and switch and change and all that. If you come down here, you can see all of like the actual information. And I will say that from my experience, there's more like site-specific settings, I feel like, within your thing. But like most of these settings match, if not all of them. It's just like you got to kind of see like what exactly like you're looking for in certain senses. Like there's some quick settings here, so to speak, right, for your thing. But if you come down to the bottom and you can see this here, it's like you can further configure how NitroPack optimization behaves through your account. And if you click go to app, that's where this is going to take you. So just again, realize that there's some quick settings within the WP admin, but also there's this other area that you may need to adjust some things at. So we will take a look at them. So overall, we're not going to have too many like, results or anything yet because we literally just turned this on. One thing I'm going to turn on right away because I know it's really important and helpful is the cache warm-up. So I'm going to click that on right here. And again, you can see like there's some, stuff that we can upgrade for. But if we're just on the free plan and we go save, then now we're going to be warming up our cache, which is kind of like instead of waiting for pages to get hit and things to get cached in that manner, it's just automatically going through and scraping their sitemap and scraping all your pages and just caching everything. Probably what you want to do in most cases, because you can see as soon as I did that, now we have like more things that are scheduled for optimization rather than just like waiting again for that to happen when people get to them or anything like that. So in most cases, I would probably recommend turning that on. There's a test mode, so you can test different things without affecting your visitor's experience. That's a cool little feature. And then optimization mode. So this is like, again, there's some, like I said, there's settings here and then there's settings over here, right? So I want you to watch this right here, this cache warm up. We're back on the, I'll make my face a little smaller for you here. Over here on this cache warm up, we're back on the actual WordPress admin. I'm going to reload this real quick. And you can see now that it's turned on because obviously those settings sync, right? If you do something over on the app side or you do something on the WP admin side, they're going to stay the same there. It just depends on where you're more comfortable and where your setting potentially might be, because I think again there might be a couple more over here on the actual web app piece. Okay, the next thing here is optimization mode, and you can kind of see that again on the admin as well. But like there's a couple different options, right? So there's standard, medium, strong, and ludicrous. And in order to get to ludicrous, you have to upgrade that. But strong is, solid out of the box here. We will test this in a moment, I promise you. I want to make sure that it obviously warms up some of the cache, so I think we're pretty good to go there. A couple other random things, you can be like, Speed Insider if you want to like join the kind of like the beta type program it looks like there. You can add additional domains, and then you can change your, light or dark mode for your badge before you end up upgrading. If we go back up here for a second and we check out the C modes comparison, we can take a look at like all the different things that it does. So like standard, medium, strong, or ludicrous. So this is kind of really interesting that it shows you exactly what it's going to try to do in each one of those modes. And again, I'm going to leave it on strong for now because I would like my website to be as fast as possible in one click. That sounds kind of interesting to me, right? Let's head back over to the dashboard here. We can see that it went through and those ones that were scheduled for optimization, it's already optimized. So if we go over to events history here on the left, you can see that, kind of the breakdown of that real quick. But you can also see like all of the pages that optimization has kind of like started and everything, which is interesting because when we go to our homepage, for instance, we can just double check that's like, okay, it's optimized both of those, like desktop and mobile. So we should be able to test this now and see what we get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another page speed insights, and I'm going to copy our link here and I'm going to drop it in. And let's see what happens. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm assuming that it's going to be much better scores because it's going to be optimizing everything in the background and doing all these different things to make the site faster, but we will learn together here. All right, so based on that, we already have an improvement in the scores here. We got an 86 on mobile, which is solid. And then for desktop here, we have an 85, which is up from what we had. So that's, again, just the free version. Let's talk about pricing and some paid features now, see if we can get these scores even higher. So obviously, the free version is pretty solid just on its own there, but you may run into limitations, obviously, and you might want to upgrade. So let's talk about the new pricing structure and some of the newer features in the paid plans for NitroPack. Also, a good time to tell you there is a discount code in the description if you decide to purchase any of these. Benefits channel. Thank you so much for doing that. But if you click the link in the description, you'll head over to NitroPack and you take a look at the pricing here. So we have starter, which is $8 a month, plus $22 a month, pro $99.99 per month, and then agency, which is $275 a month. Big things we're looking at here are some of the stats here. So like one website, 3 websites, starting at 10 websites, and then also like however many page views and CDN bandwidth and such. There's a lot of new features that they've thrown into the pro plan here, so we're going to explore some of those. So we're back in the dashboard here. I've upgraded the license to show all of the features here. So I'm just going to walk through this whole dashboard now because we have access to everything and just kind of show you what it does. We'll play with some toggles, we'll test again, and we'll see what we can do. So again, we talked about some of this already: cache, warm-up, test mode, ludicrous mode now. That's awesome. You can manage your subscription, things like that. If we go just down the line here, we go to cache insights. Didn't touch on all this obviously earlier, but there's a lot of insights that you can gain from just like as you're doing different things and kind of what your total cache size is and things like that. Obviously, like, we only have so many pages on this website, but we kind of give you an idea of everything that you have going on. Pretty solid overall. You can always purge your cache too if you're having any issues, and it can kind of rebuild that for you. If we go over to cache settings on the left, and then we go down to general, we've seen this a little bit already. You can see there's additional domains. You can specify additional domains pointing to the same website. That's not really going to necessarily help us per se in our efforts here, but that's a nice feature. If we come over to images and media, there's a ton of settings in here. So there's lazy loading. That's on by default there. You can change a bunch of different things. There's lazy load iframes, lazy load self-hosted videos. For images and videos, you can change how much image optimization you want. So you can have like high or ultra high. Let's just change it to like ultra high just as an example. Animated image optimization. So I'm going to turn that on because that's a new feature. I like that. Optimizes animated GIFs and PNGs, reducing their size. That's awesome. Adaptive image sizing. Why not? Let's turn that bad boy on. And then video facade. So it improves loading speed, displaying a video facade, deferring the load of YouTube video. Okay. Cool. For some of these, obviously, you're going to want to make sure that, like, depending on your setup and what you have going on, you don't want to necessarily like over optimize if you have videos playing and things like that. But on a lot of cases, if you just have your typical video, so a lot of the stuff is going to be able to be utilized so you can continue to optimize. LCP preload improves your core web vitals by automatically identifying and preloading the LCP element. I'm going to turn that on because that sounds like a new feature that's definitely going to upgrade some things here. Awesome. Let's go down to the JavaScript now. So we have to purge our cache. We'll do that as soon as we get done with the settings here. Remove render blocking resources. Already got that on already. Awesome. Delayed scripts. Could do that. Obviously something you might want to check. I don't think I have anything crazy on this website, so I will do that. Combine JavaScript. I'll turn that one on for now as well. If we go down to HTML and CSS, so you can keep HTML comments, minify JSON for linking data, HTML normalization. That's a new one. I'm going to try to turn that one on just to see what happens there. Then we have some CSS down here. So generate critical CSS, that's on already. Custom CSS, remove unused CSS, combine CSS, which is on, and then extract large inline CSS. So we'll leave those all as is. We'll go over to fonts. I don't think there's anything too crazy here, just like override font rendering. This one's new and kind of interesting. Optimize Google hosted fonts. So I'm going to turn on that. And these ones say recommended. So I'm going to just throw these guys on as well. If we go to the cache, so you can set your cache expiration time. You can do a cart cache for WooCommerce. That's interesting. That's a new one. I'm going to turn that on. Dynamic queue. So I'm going to turn that on for sure because that's definitely new. So prioritizes a page's optimization in the queue the moment a user visited. That's interesting. And then instant cache reoptimize. So you can automatically refresh the cache when it expires to keep your site optimized at all times. Love that. Some other stuff here. Cache Ajax URLs, ignore parameters, must include headers. Okay. Cache reset, background purge, and then some cookie stuff. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, we turned on a lot of stuff there. Let's go through the rest of this thing. We already looked at the events history. We do have some ones that have failed, but we're going to purge the cache here in a second anyway. And then some resource history. So obviously we haven't had too much happen there yet. And then plugin history. That's cool that it shows you all that. And then we have also some integrations if you want to do that. Cloudflare, etc. here, plugins, themes, and builders. I mean, obviously it's going to work with pretty much everything on WordPress here for the most part. So there's that. Let's go ahead and purge this cache. Let's head back over the dashboard here. So now we have a clean slate, so to speak. So I'm just going to let the cache warm up here and then we can test again. So we changed all those settings and now we're retesting here, and mobile is now at a 96. Pretty impressive. I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. Over on desktop, we have a 100%. So overall, I would say that you definitely get some serious results with NitroPack. There's a lot of really good settings in there, especially in the paid version, but even in the free version, you could just throw that on and get some quick, easy wins just to test it out, get a feel for the UI, and then potentially upgrade. A lot of the new features coupled with the new pricing seem to really like enhance the experience from what I remember a couple years ago. So I'd say at minimum, if you're having performance issues, go to the WordPress repository, search NitroPack, connect it up, and just see what happens. If you like it and you want to upgrade, there's a discount code, like I said, in the description down below. Save yourself some money and make your website faster. Other than that, though, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I greatly appreciate it, and I will talk to you in the next one.